Well, let's bring him out. Here's Eric Cartman.
Whatever.
Daddy, I love him!
But I love him. It's important as women that we do not allow ourselves to get stuck in the "but I love him," because you will pay the price and you will sacrifice your youth to that man. If you're not happy, if you're with a man that makes you cry on a regular basis, understand that "but I love him" is not a good enough excuse that you can love many men in your life. You can fall in love again, and just because you love this one man doesn't mean that you have to stay with him and stand by his side for the rest of your life. Love is not a good enough excuse to stay with a man who's not treating you the way that you want to be treated.
What if I told you a best-selling dating book for women proves everything Esther Vilar said in The Manipulated Man was right, and not by accident, but by design? I've read The Power of the Pussy, one of the books you recommended I should read and do a video presentation on. And yes, I had to take some time off to read these books and watch the series you recommended, because we're not like those content pirates who just copy, paste, and profit. We actually read and watch to provide our own thoughts and our own touch to the content. And hey, that's why you subscribed, right? The Power of the by Kara King immediately brings two words and one name to mind: contradiction, manipulation, and Esther Vilar.
I wrote this book to teach women how to stop settling and start winning in love. It's helped thousands of women take their power back and finally get the love, respect, and commitment they deserve.
This book will dramatically empower your life as a woman by changing the way you look at men and dating. It will also teach you valuable secrets that will uncover your natural abilities to control your relationships and have men at your feet. Once you're able to alter your perception and utilize the 12 secret powers, you'll feel like a new woman.
Now imagine criticizing Esther Vilar for writing The Manipulated Man 50 years ago, a book where she claimed that men are exploited by women to do their bidding. Fast forward to 2012, and this bestseller, The Power of the unapologetically confirms everything Esther Vilar said about how women use their sexuality to get what they want.
Könnte ich mir vorstellen, möchte ich vielleicht nicht unbedingt. Ja. Was stellen Sie sich eigentlich vor, wenn Sie darüber schreiben? Wenn Sie zum Beispiel über mich und meine Kolleginnen schreiben, wir seien Nachplapperer und wir wären also, unser wichtigstes Instrument ist die Vagina. Was stellen Sie sich darunter vor?
But here's the twist. When it's presented in women's favor, it's not just accepted, it's applauded. The manipulation is excused under the classic phrase, well, men do it too. I don't care.
It's not my problem.
To this day, Kara King unapologetically stands by her words, and her book came out over a decade ago. In this video presentation, we're diving into the psychological gymnastics, contradictions, and weaponized femininity that run through her work, and how all of it connects chapter by chapter to the predictions Esther Vilar made more than 50 years ago. Specifically, we're going to unpack 3 explosive chapters: The Power of Controlling Your Emotions, The Power of the Pussy, Part 1, The Power of the Pussy, Part 2. By the end of this episode, you'll see how the power of the doesn't just echo Esther Vilar's thesis, it confirms it in full HD with receipts, contradictions, and cultural consequences. Let's get into it.
Now it's time for us to get into this and do what we gotta do. Because we many.
When you master the ability to control your emotions, you take away a man's power over you. While it may be technically wrong to mask and control your emotions for your own selfish benefit, it's simply a necessity you must accept in order to win the game. In my opinion, there is nothing wrong with this type of hide your feelings mentality, because if you think about it, men do it to us all the time.
From the jump, Kara King makes it clear this isn't about love, truth, or connection. This is about control over men. And to do that, women must first control what she calls their greatest weakness, emotions. According to King, emotional detachment isn't just helpful, it's essential, because what this book teaches isn't dating advice. It's a game strategy. And just like in a game, morality becomes optional. Manipulation, gaslighting, exploitation, all justified with the classic dodge. Men do this to us all the time. She's not denying the manipulation, she's normalizing it. That right there confirms what Esther Vilar pointed out over 50 years ago, that books like this are a form of devotional literature designed to justify manipulation under the veil of empowerment.
Ja, ich habe vielleicht eine etwas ausgefallene Meinung über eine emanzipierte Frau. Nach meiner Meinung sind es nicht die Frauen, die sich befreien müssen, sondern vor allen Dingen die Männer. Ich denke, dass diese ganzen Aufrufe zur Befreiung der Frau, wie sie momentan so sehr in Mode sind, dass sie nichts weiter sind als Erbauungsliteratur. Ich nenne sie deshalb Erbauungsliteratur, weil sie sowohl den Männern als auch den Frauen genau das sagen, was sie am liebsten hören. Nämlich den Frauen sagen sie, dass sie ja so arm sind und so unterdrückt. Und das gibt den Frauen eine fantastische Ausrede, aus dem System Ehe noch mehr herauszuholen, als sie sowieso schon tun.
The excuse "men do it too" exposes a deeper truth. Female sexual liberation wasn't about fairness, it was about revenge. Feminism was never about equality, it was about superiority. And King's playbook is soaked in that ideology. Then comes the first big contradiction.
We only do these irrational actions so our emotional side can feel better. We give in to our emotions in order to feel better in the short term, but we end up hurting even more over the long term. Even the strongest women have made stupid decisions based on their inability to control their emotions.
So women are emotional, impulsive, and prone to stupidity. Her words, not mine. And yet, she still encourages them to lean into those very emotions to gain power. She says women should control their emotions, then immediately advises them to go on filler dates to distract themselves after a breakup.
Go on a few filler dates. I call them filler dates because these are dates you use to fill your time, mind, or heart. You may go on a filler date because you're bored and you would like to go out to a nice dinner. You may want to go on a filler date because you just got dumped and can't keep your mind off your ex. You might feel sad throughout the whole date, but that's 4 more hours you haven't called your ex.
Let's be honest, this is emotional methadone, using men as distractions, dopamine dispensers, not because you're interested, but because you're lonely and your feelings got hurt. And she justifies it by saying,
as a woman, you have the right to go on dates even if you don't intend to be with the man.
This is emotional manipulation disguised as empowerment.
Let's take some calls from the request line. Caller number 1.
And it gets worse. She also recommends a "things I hate about you" list, literally writing down his flaws as a way to emotionally cope with heartbreak. Another coping mechanism framed as healing, but really it's just emotional projection. Let's zoom out here. This kind of behavior, dating for attention, masking pain with manipulation, and using men as emotional Kleenex, is exactly why fathers used to screen boyfriends.
Don't let your father force you into this. Don't make this mistake with your life. Break your engagement.
I think you will go now. Don't think for a moment that I won't use this.
It's why male guardianship existed, not to oppress women, but to protect them from their own emotional volatility and external predators.
Who the f*** are you?
I'm Mr. Bennett. I'm Reggie.
What you doing here?
Came to take out Megan.
What?
Now, in the name of freedom, women have stepped onto the battlefield, but not as equals, as targets. The collapse of male guardianship has led to Tinder burnout, situationships, hookup regret, and deep down, women know this. That's why books like this exist, because they're trying to reclaim power in a system they no longer understand. To her credit, Kara King does mention personal responsibility.
You must promise yourself that from this day forward, you are taking responsibility for your actions. The things you do for men which you later think, "What the hell was I thinking?" are not his fault. They are your fault. These foolish notions will no longer happen if you're able to maintain composure over your feelings. They are your emotions, and you must learn to control them by not allowing them to dictate your actions. When you do, you will take the lead when dealing with men, and you'll be the one calling the shots.
Sounds good, until you realize it's still about control, not self-awareness, not growth, just strategy. She's not saying become a better person. She's saying Learn how to manipulate better and stop blaming the man if it doesn't work. It's clear Kara King didn't write this book from a scientific or ethical perspective. She wrote it in pure womanese, a language that feels good emotionally but collapses under logic. So the question is, how do you sell the power of the as empowerment without openly admitting it's about destroying men in the process? Let's find out.
I always laugh when I hear a man say, "If I was a girl, I'd be rich." They say this because they know women have the ultimate ability to manipulate men. It could be love and commitment, a house and diamonds, or all of the above. What do you want from men?
In this chapter, Kara King doesn't flirt with the metaphor. She flat out brands the vagina as an economic asset. Not figuratively, literally, she compares it to gold and diamonds, suggesting it could be traded on the stock market if society just had the guts to admit its true value. But unlike gold, the value of fluctuates wildly. It can be worthless or worth millions, all depending on who's holding it and how it's leveraged. And no, that's not my spin. That's her pitch. Sex, in this worldview, isn't a sacred act or even a personal one. It's transactional, and for many women, the most powerful currency they'll ever control. But here's where the next contradiction hits like a freight train.
This has nothing to do with... I'm not telling you to sell sex. What I am saying is you must decide exactly what you want from a man. The stuff on your list. This is your asking price. Then you don't settle for anyone until they are willing to give you your asking price. When they're willing to give you what you want, then you can sell.
Let's be honest, this has everything to do with transactional sex. Women just don't want the label that comes with it. Kara avoids calling it prostitution, but still encourages women to put a price tag on intimacy. If you're leading with the punani, don't get offended when people call it what it is. And this is exactly what made Esther Vilar so controversial.
By the age of 12 at the latest, most women have decided to become or, to put it another way, they have planned a future for themselves, which consists of choosing a man and letting him do all the work. In return for his support, they are prepared to let him make use of their vagina at certain given intervals. The minute a woman has made this decision, she ceases to develop her mind. She may, of course, go on to obtain various degrees and diplomas.
Vilar didn't sugarcoat it. She made the exact same observations 50 years earlier and got vilified for it. Not because she was wrong, but because she stripped the glamour and empowerment from the exchange. She made it sound cheap, which brings us to the next contradiction Kara throws at us.
Whatever type of girl you may be, and whatever your reasoning is, having sex with a guy you like is the absolute wrong thing to do. The trick is, do not have sex. The less a man gets, the more a man wants. Men only want you when they can't have you. Bottom line, I know it's so stupid and you're probably tired of hearing this. You may think, if two people like each other, then what's the problem? Remember, these are men we're dealing with.
Here, Kara exposes what I'd call the pussy's kryptonite. It only has value when it's withheld. Desire is the power source. And if men stop wanting it, the entire leverage system collapses.
Some men have this, some men don't. And if you want to be treated like a princess, then you have to find the man who has that provider mentality.
Find a man that has this provider type of mind.
And a man that truly cares about you and a man that truly likes you and loves you, he's going to want to do things to make you happy. So it's not going to be, it's going to be a no-brainer to him anyway.
If a man is truly crazy about you, you can also inspire him to provide.
If your man does not have this mindset and the intrinsic desire within himself to want to provide, then all of this is just a non-starter and the rest of the tips in this video just won't work.
How ironic is it that Kara tells women to do exactly what their fathers used to say, do not have sex.
You got joints on you? No. You smoke that No, sir. You trying to get my daughter high? You smoke that
This is ancient wisdom. But when men say it, it's controlling. When a woman says it, it's strategic. This book is full of feminist talking points, but conveniently never uses the word feminism. Why? Because it promotes the foundational feminist idea. Women should be free to do whatever they want without consequences. It's all empowerment, zero accountability. Kara never mentions the decreasing value of sex over time. No reference to age, body count, or pair bonding. Why? Because the feminist Kool-Aid says women are hot no matter how old they are or how many guys they've slept with. But reality hits different, and that's why men are checking out. They see the contradictions.
Now, if you don't like the guy or you don't care to develop a relationship with him, then have sex with him. It won't matter. But if you really like him and hope to create a committed relationship with this man, then do not have sex with him.
You heard that right. The most valuable thing a woman owns is giving away for free to the guys she doesn't care about, while the men who do matter have to work for it like they are applying for a frickin' mortgage. The foolishness. You can't make this stuff up. This logic destroys the whole men do it too defense, because sex only happens when women say yes. Women are the gatekeepers, and when they start handing out keys to the wrong guys, it creates chaos. That chaos is the foundation of what Kara tries to rebrand as empowerment. And in the next chapter, that chaos comes fully into view.
The Prince Charming test. This test is all about observing your man's actions. Will he run to your rescue when you call? Will he be your Prince Charming? When a man likes a woman, he'll jump through hoops to help her, and he'll be glad to come to her rescue.
Here's where the chaos begins. With Prince Charming, Kara King's entire strategy hinges on the idea that Prince Charming will always be there at the finish line, ready to scoop women up, no matter how many men they've been with or how recklessly they've handed out their power. The game assumes a guaranteed safety net, that a quality man will wait patiently at the end of a trail of casual sex and emotional damage. What's interesting is that this book came out in 2012, long before dating apps completely flipped the game. Back then, Tinder didn't exist, and dating sites were still taboo. And still, Kara brags that even as an average-looking woman, she had no shortage of attention. She partied, had her fun, and still landed a husband and 3 kids. That experience gives her, and many women reading this book, a false sense of security, the confidence that casual sex doesn't compromise long-term commitment, that Prince Charming will still show up eventually.
Keep in mind, you have to be ready to ask for what you want, but you also have to be willing to cut your losses if he isn't willing to give you what you want. Because you know what? There are plenty of men out there ready and willing to give you exactly what you want. You just haven't met them yet.
This is where the delusion takes root, that there's a limitless supply of high-quality men who are ready to give women everything they want, no matter their past. It's the same mindset that contributed to the flop of the Snow White remake. Why? Because deep down, women still want Prince Charming. Barbie may have been about independence, but Snow White was about being chosen, about being rescued, not by anyone, but by the right man, the ideal man. That fantasy hasn't gone anywhere. It's just been dressed up in modern lingo. And then Kara shifts back to traditional tactics. The damsel in distress playbook. She gives women specific ways to test if a man is Prince Charming. Ask for help, need a ride, pretend you can't move furniture, see if he shows up. But here's the catch. Don't give up the... Not yet. Women are told to make men wait. Not until marriage, but at least 60 days. Meanwhile, they can still sleep with other men, the F-buddies, on the side. But the man they actually want must earn access. And what's the justification? Men are hoes too. So if men do it, women should too. No guilt. But here's the part no one talks about. The trail of destruction this behavior leaves behind.
If a guy is pressing you for information, you know what to do. Give him the old, "I'm a lady and I don't talk about that." These types of dumbass lines will get you out of so much. He can't get mad at you for respecting yourself. He has to respect it. If he doesn't respect that answer, then you show signs of disapproval. He'll change his tone very quickly if he feels he's making you mad.
This right here it aged like milk. Because in 2025, the game is up. The internet caught receipts. Men are no longer clueless.
My body count before I went into the industry was very low. It was like under 10.
Kara's advice to keep your body count hidden, your intentions vague, and your rules secret. It worked in a world of plausible deniability.
Do and say whatever is necessary to flip the guilt back to him. You must do this to retain the control.
Understand how men are always concerned about women's body count. If half of y'all don't even wipe your ass properly. So y'all need to stop worrying about women's bodies. Worry about yourselves.
But now,
Leave It to Beaver is not coming back, dude. Leave It to Beaver isn't coming back. Those women do not exist anymore. And the ones that do exist are fake. They are faking it. They're acting a certain way to get something.
Women are they're just too much, bro. They're just too much. They're not worth, I just don't think they're worth it anymore. Were they ever worth it? Maybe. But I don't think they're worth it no more.
Have the same issues, but I do think it goes to the issue of respect. I think American men do not feel respected. That is the one thing in my book that I found out and that I'm talking to men about now. The biggest thing they talk about is respect, that they do not feel respected by American women. And I think they're, even in their mind, whether true or not, they feel that these women overseas do respect them.
It's hard to convince a man that a woman is special when he knows she's been sleeping around for years, when he knows about the rosters, the backup dudes, the loopholes, the stats tell the full story. Pew Research, record number of men opting out of dating. Prediction, 45% of women will be single and childless by 2030. Honestly, that number might be low because modern dating is accelerating. Just like AI, it's evolving fast, and women's hypergamous standards aren't keeping up with the reality of what most men actually are. The pool of acceptable men keeps shrinking. Most men are no longer seen as Prince Charming material, and most modern women aren't bringing wife energy to the table either. Want proof? Just look at the women Kara King looks up to.
Some women I love are Beyonce, Madonna, Lady Gaga, Marilyn Monroe, Coco, Cardi B, and Trina. I personally look up to these women because they are sexy and feminine, yet strong and confident. More importantly, they do what they want to do and stand by it with firm confidence. They never back down from their choices. They don't allow men to dictate their style or personality. They are who they are, and if a man doesn't like it, oh well.
This isn't femininity. This is toxic ego wrapped in glitter and filters. These icons represent dopamine over discipline, impulse over legacy, and individualism over family. That's not the femininity that built long-lasting marriages or stable homes. That's not the femininity that raised generations of men and women with values. You want to know why women are crying on TikTok? Because they're living the consequences of the choices they once called empowerment. Men want sex. That's nothing new. But the moment they get it, they enter post-nut clarity. And at that moment, a man sees a woman for exactly what she is, valuable or not, wife material or a regret. And it doesn't matter if you make him wait 60 days or 6 months. If you're a low-value woman with no substance, you're still useless in the long term. That's why wives aren't born, they're raised. A wife's goal is to get a man to commit and build a family while she's in her prime, not after she's lived her life, not after she's been ran sprinted through. But instead of promoting values, Kara's out here preaching addiction, dopamine, emotional fluidity. Feminism speaks to a woman's desire to be unbound by responsibility, and it's made relationships a joke. Modern women have become a punchline, and when men speak up, when the manosphere pushes back, they're attacked. Why? Because they're telling the truth. Toxic femininity is real, but it's not talked about. And that's exactly why platforms like this are growing, because just because the mainstream ignores it doesn't mean men aren't seeing it. So here we are. The same power that Kara King tells women to leverage is the same weapon they've misfired over and over again. Women were handed a loaded gun called sexual power, but no one taught them how to aim. And now they're shocked by the casualties, broken relationships, single motherhood, and a generation of men walking away from the table entirely. But we're not done yet, because the game doesn't stop at sex. In part 2, we dive into what happens when women start monetizing the power. We're talking sugar daddies, sponsors, and financial manipulation disguised as female empowerment. This is the chapter where the power of the meets the price tag. And trust me, the cost is higher than they think. Let's talk about what happens when men become wallets and women become the ultimate hustlers. Stay tuned. It only gets more real from here.
Manosphere, we working. Protect yourself at all times. This video has officially been highlighted.